This is our introduction to ForHumanity's risk management framework. And we've been working on it for quite a long time. We think that it is one of the most comprehensive, if not most comprehensive, risk management frameworks around AI, algorithmic, and autonomous systems. And it is 100% consistent with the mission of what ForHumanity is and does. And if you're not familiar with ForHumanity, we are a nonprofit public charity, started close to 6 years ago. I'm the founder and executive director. My name's Ryan Carrier. And our mission is pretty simple. It's to examine and analyze downside risk associated with AI, algorithmic, and autonomous systems, and where possible to engage in risk mitigations. Because if we can mitigate the maximum amount of risk from these systems, then we get the greatest possible benefit for humanity. And that's where this overly ambitious name has come from. But our community has grown to more than 850 people from 70 countries around the world. And this risk management framework, which we'll be rolling out over the next couple of weeks, it's fully operational. It's ready to be implemented by those who would want to choose to build in the most robust risk management around these systems. And when I say robust and comprehensive, what I mean is it actually thinks beyond the corporate, beyond the organizational entity, to focus all the way down to the people impacted. And that's because it's consistent with our mission. And so everything that we've built is to try to mitigate risks, not just to the organization. We believe that the organization will do the best by risk management for themselves when they minimize the risk for users, people group, communities, even the environment is built into this risk management framework. So with that, I'd like to introduce my co-author, co-designer, the gentleman who has really guided this from an operational perspective, Sundar. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, or for fear of getting it wrong. Narayanan. I'll try it. I need to get better at it. But Sundar and I have been working with lots and lots of people around ForHumanity on building out this holistic approach to risk management. And we'd just like to give you a few minutes introduction today to help whet your appetite for what will eventually lead into an entire set of teachings through ForHumanity University, where we will certify individuals to operate and engage in this risk management framework. And we'll talk about that before the end of this video. But I want to turn it over to my friend and colleague and longtime partner on this, Sundar. Take it away.
Thanks, Ryan. And welcome you all. It's a pleasure to have worked on something which is so very close to ForHumanity's mission. And I'm really glad and humbled to have worked with Ryan on this particular piece over a period. It all started with the initial work by Sarah and many others who contributed to this. Just coming back to the focus point of risk management framework that we are speaking about, there are a few things that are necessary to bear in mind. This particular framework is essential for the independent audit of AI system. It's going to be an essential part of independent audit of AI system. As Ryan said, our mission is to mitigate downside risks, and that's where this integrates into. Second, we have tried to work basis existing standards. So we've taken ISO standard and we've built our framework basis that, enhancing it to align with the broader mission that we carry for humans. And the third thing that is more important to bring in here is that as all our work relates, we bring in diverse inputs and multi-stakeholder feedback as a critical part of our work, and that makes the work more valuable, more inclusive in that sense. The last part that I thought is relevant for when we are introducing this is that the way the whole framework is designed is around a 4-line of defense. A first, operational layer. Second, an oversight layer. Third, internal audit or risk review layer. And the fourth which is independent audit of AI systems. The way the whole risk management framework is built is around these four, and there are actions, responsibilities, guidance relating to each of these four to the extent of drafting specific risk and control matrices. With that, I just wanted to bring Ryan in to speak about how such a risk management framework integrates and works in the context of independent audit of AI system.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sundar. So when we think about a risk management framework, it's drawn in for a couple of reasons and a couple of ways. Number one, the EU Artificial Intelligence Act, which is kind of the leading document, the leading law, the leading governance that is in AI, algorithmic and autonomous systems, requires a robust risk management. It's actually written into the law that risk management must be in place. Now let's talk about why that is. One of the key and critical changes in risk management from traditional risk management. Look, this is an existing marketplace, right? This risk management and operating risk management. I worked in finance for 25 years. A lot of what we did was risk management. The big difference here is that these systems are socio-technical systems. And so the human is embedded in the process. And so we can no longer, and think of the human as the user often, or even the subject or the data subject of these systems. So we can no longer just have a risk management framework that thinks about the organization only. We have to think about risks directly to those humans who are fully integrated into the system. And so from a ForHumanity perspective, our approach has been to build independent audit of AI systems, that fourth line of defense, that place where we have the last checking mechanism for one very simple reason. When you introduce independent audit of AI systems, an outside third party who will review your compliance with all of these rules and criteria, it changes your human nature, even if you're a good person. Even if you're trying to do the right things, oftentimes we set them aside, or we'll handle them later, or we get busy with other things. It is in our human nature that when someone is coming to look at our work, we behave differently. We complete it. We make sure that compliance is full. And that is what is necessary here to build an infrastructure of trust, governance, oversight, accountability, by design, from the initial assessment of risk all the way to the disclosure of residual risk. And we're going to talk about that. It's a key change to the risk management market, maybe in some places, but in other places, we've been disclosing residual risk for quite some time. The model that we're going to use here is an FDA kind of approach where we're going to disclose residual risk prior to usage. And we'll talk about that before we finish up. But the risk management framework as a whole, so to answer Sundar's question, is fully integrated into compliance with independent audit of AI systems and allows for the operationalization and satisfaction of those compliance requirements. Let me turn it back to Sundar. Talk a little bit about some additional differences that you see between what we're doing with this ForHumanity risk management framework and sort of that traditional space of risk management. Where are the augmentations? Where are the new things that we had to bring in?
There are two main aspects that needs to be considered. One is the human aspect. So the focus moves out of the traditional organization approach to look at risks to the human impact caused by the risk. So that's a very different approach. That's a difference that we're bringing in. That changes the perspective of somebody looking at risk. So it will expand beyond an accountability layer for an organization to how it impacts people and how they need to protect people, stakeholders who are involved in this whole process. That's one thing. Then the second and more important thing that I consider is that traditionally, the kind of risk categories we've been seeing are very limiting when it comes to the context of AI autonomous and algorithmic systems. Why is that so? It's because this area is new. It has newer dimensions that are coming along. For instance, if we speak about something like a human agency, it is very relevant in the context of AI, autonomous and algorithmic systems. Similar is the case if we speak about diversity, if we speak about governance. So there may be some areas which are already covered. So for example, privacy, cybersecurity, fairness may have got covered in some or other way in the existing risk management systems. All we are trying to augment is to bring in additional categories that meaningfully explains the risks that are contributed by AI systems. And that's where we try to bring in that value and then add from what is then existing in an ISO stack.
Let me come back to you, Sundar, and talk about how we integrate all of that into the work that we do.
I think one of the things that we're trying to do is to ensure that our existing work in the independent audit of AI systems seamlessly syncs with the risk management framework and the guidance provided therein, so that we are able to, as people who are trained on independent audit of AI systems are able to easily adapt to the risk management framework and the guidance is provided there. I know that you have some plans for specific training on this. Why don't you just talk about that?
Sure. So in the second quarter of 2022, our main body of work and teaching in ForHumanity University will be to train on this fully operational system. So each of these elements have 2 and 3 layers deep worth of guidance, explanation, description, as well as templates that will allow for the collection, the collation, the evaluation, the treatment of all of these different risks, so that we can build and change the way that risk management is managed around AI, algorithmic autonomous systems. At the end of our work, there will be people who will now be certified in the ForHumanity risk management framework, who will be positioned either inside companies or outside of companies to enable and build these risk management frameworks so that we can get a better handle on the risk associated with these systems. Sounds great. Thanks for arranging this conversation. Thanks for all of the work that you've done in helping to build and organize this. A little secret behind the scenes is that I can talk all day long. Those of you who know me know that I can talk all day long. You know what I can't do? Make pretty pictures to explain the words, explain the process. Sundar has a genuine gift for that, and he's achieved that. As you'll see, all of this risk management framework is meant to be able to be understood visually. And then you can achieve and go to links all over the place that'll get into the descriptions, get into the operation manual, get into the guidance for every single layer of this. It's well-defined, it's well laid out, and we get all the way down into template application. And here's the last thing, and I want to leave you with it. This is offered to you humbly. This is offered to you with our best efforts of an operational risk management system for AI, algorithmic and autonomous systems. If you have an issue with it, if you have a problem with it, tell us. We want to make it better. Because when we make the system better, that's when humans win. And that's all we're trying to do here. So please come, get involved, take a look at this, critique it. We want to hear from you. So we hope you'll join us in ForHumanity University to get educated on this, get certified in it, be able to build a business and a career around this, or as a company, become more, have a more robust risk management culture. And we hope you'll join us in this journey. Thank you so much for your time. Sundar, thank you for arranging this talk. And I look forward to seeing you in risk management.
Thank you.